Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. This is CMG Talk. This is Catherine Gallagher. Welcome, and thank you so much for joining me. So today I'd like to talk about the instigator. And the instigator can be a really positive influence and a great person to be around, because who doesn't want to have somebody that has empathy, compassion, who's effervescent, that person that has the emotional maturity and the emotional intelligence, that has the ability to be able to light up a room and to be able to start up conversations and to be able to be that person that when you're around makes you feel good about you. Instigator can be a fantastic person to be around. But you're thinking, actually, when you say instigator, Catherine, that's not who I was really thinking about. That's because there's also, just like I talked about the disruptor, you can see where I'm going with this. The instigator also can be the other type of personality, right? So, yes, I want to talk about the positive side of an instigator, because there is a really positive person that you can meet as an instigator. And it's important not to dismiss that, because if you meet somebody that's an instigator, you want to make sure it's the right type of instigator. Trust me. Right? Because the instigator can be an amazing person as a leader, that leadership person who instigates, whether it's in management, whether it's within family, whether it's in society, that instigator that can actually step up and be that person. You go, yes, that person's a great person. They have compassion, empathy, they motivate, they light up the room, they lead people from behind, and they motivate, lift people up and elevate, and they help me to step up and be the best version of myself. But equally, they're a fantastic person to be around. But what if you don't meet that person? What if you meet an instigator that is the other type of instigator? What if you meet the instigator is the worst type of instigator? And you know where I'm going with this. Instigators can also be people, individual or organisational instigators, that instigate the drama, instigate sometimes the type of gossip, salacious, instigate the type of things that actually can be very disruptive but very alarming and actually quite harmful to people around them. I really don't want to say anything here about this, but I thought I would just let you know, and I don't want you to get upset about it, but I think you should know. I was hearing people say yesterday when we went on a night out, oh, did you not know about the night out? Were you not actually involved? Did you not get invited to that night out? Oh, it was a party. Yeah, it was so-and-so's party. Did they not invite you? Oh, never mind. Maybe, I don't know, maybe they don't like you as much. Anyway, I wouldn't really worry about it too much. Anyway, it was a really good night out. It was really good. But your name come up a few times. Yeah. And I'm kind of hesitant to tell you this, but yeah, they were kind of talking about you. And I don't know whether you should know this, but I felt a bit uncomfortable. Yeah. Are you aware they were talking about you? Has anybody else told you? Because I just feel as if you should know about it. Right? Yeah. They were saying some really horrible things about you. They were saying things like, you weren't really good at what you do. You weren't good at your job. Right? In fact, somebody mentioned that something had gone missing. Now, I'm not saying it's you, and they weren't saying it was you. But, and suddenly the instigators left this with you, and you're like, okay, so there was a party and I wasn't invited. They excluded me deliberately. And I don't have to be invited to a party, but now I know there was a party and they were talking about me and something's gone missing and they were saying that it was me and where they saying it was me and of course it wasn't me and what's going on, and suddenly you're reeling, your head's reeling and you're in shock and you're really upset and you're sitting with it. What do you do? What do you do? What do you do with this? Now, often, these kind of dilemmas are things that people talk to me about. And I always say to people, if in doubt, check it out. If in doubt, check it out. Don't sit with something like that, because there's something about your integrity, right? And if it's a work thing, right, why would you not check it out? What would you do? Would you not go and seek it out with your manager and say, I just want to understand, there was something said to me and it's been quite alarming with me and I just want to check out, has something gone missing? Because I understand from what was said to me that my name come up. Of course, I'm not involved in anything like that. Now, any manager should be saying, absolutely not, right? Or should be saying, this is under investigation, I can't talk about it just now. Or they should be saying, your name is not involved in this. They should be giving you clarification. But what they'd also probably want to know is who said this to you. Now, in a situation like that, you have a choice of whether you say. I always say, it's best to be honest about these things. It really is best to be honest about these things. Protecting someone who's been spreading something like that is very toxic. You're better to say, look, I'm just going to be real with you, because to me this is about my reputation and this should never have been said. And it's caused me a lot of alarm and distress. And, I understand it happened at a party. I don't know the ins and outs. It's all hearsay. And I was just told today in work. And that's why I'm bringing it to you. And it was said by. And then it's up to work to deal with it. But people sometimes will say things to you. And then it's like, oh no, I never said that. I wasn't meaning that. I was just saying it for your best. No, you weren't. No, you weren't. Equally, I hear people say things that maybe perhaps there's been situations around family, right? Where maybe they've been brought up in family are in a habit of, you being the brunt of a joke or brunt of all the jokes. Or maybe you're in family situations where you feel that, maybe you're disconnected with people around your family. And maybe when you do meet up with them, you find it hard to connect with them, right? In trainings and coaching and public speaking, people will say and bring up certain things. And when you talk about certain things and you talk about different examples, and often when I talk here, I talk about examples and they're a combination, and I'm always very aware of only talking about things that I've been given permission to talk about. And I never talk about things that would identify someone. And I think it's really important when you think about the instigator, that you think about, is that a behaviour that maybe I do? Because sometimes we don't realise that when we're doing it, that it's not subtle. That actually for other people, when they're the receiving end of that kind of behaviour, that it's hurtful. And how it impacts on someone psychologically can be huge. It can affect people's confidence, self-esteem. I often have people say to me, oh, well, that's on them. That's not, I can't help how people feel. If people want to feel that way, that's up to them. It's just words. They should be able to dismiss these words. It's not a big deal. But the reality is that it is a big deal. Especially if people are doing or saying things where they're maybe pursuing somebody, invading their privacy, their personal space. And we can have instigators of, media, journalism. You can have great examples, where you have professional media, professional social media, professional media journalism, where they are respectful and they're about getting facts and reporting on facts. But you can also have situations where you have Instigators in social media, where they pursue people relentlessly and invade people's privacy to the point where they're causing people such alarm and distress and fear. Instigating a lot of psychological distress and fear. The kind of instigating behaviour that can be bullying and harassment, that can actually be very, very distressing. And we see examples of this all the time, don't we, where people instigate and provoke. Instigating conversations. They instigate things where they say things, and they just see this whole trail of different replies. So they say something provocative, something that provokes, something that's salacious, something that's going to cause some kind of reaction. Because what does it give when you're an instigator? Power? Attention? What do they say about attention? Any kind of attention's attention, isn't it? Negative, positive. You get noticed. It gives you status, recognition. I'm not invisible. And if you've listened to Maslow's episode there that I've posted, one of the basic needs that we have is not to be invisible, is to be noticed and seen. Think about how you deal with any of these types of behaviours. How would you react to examples if somebody accused you, was an instigator of a particular situation, dropped something in a conversation at work where they instigated, I'm not saying this, but, I'm just wondering if are you okay? You're seeming a bit off. I was just wondering, you're not kind of on your game really at work. Is there something going on? Are you struggling a bit? And trying to put you off your game, trying to psych you out. I remember going for an interview, this was many years ago, and sitting waiting to get taken in. And there was about 4 or 5 of us waiting. And there was this guy came in and sat down, and he looked around the room and he said to me, you do know that they've already decided who's got the job. And I said, oh, right, really? He said, yes. He said, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to hear that it's not you. You might as well leave. And I've done lots of different types of jobs, right? So I kind of looked at him and thought, he's trying to psych me out here. And I said, that's rather surprising. I said, I'm surprised because it sounds as if you've been misinformed. And he looked at me and you could see in his face that he was really quite startled. And other people in the room were kind of looking quite kind of like, whoa, what's going on here? I said, I'm really quite taken back here that you've been misinformed. And I don't think he'd expected this response at all. I said, you've been misinformed? He said, what do you mean? And I said, because not only is that completely not true, I said, I think it's you that hasn't got the job. I said, but it's up to you what you do. I said, knock yourself out if you want to sit here. I said, but the rest of us, we're on the second option, the second interview. I said, I think you probably really should head off now. I said, and I probably think you should head off, I said, because when I go in, the next thing I'm going to tell them is what you've said to me. And he just looked and he went, you can't do that. I said, why not? You just told me I've not got the job. I said, I think they need to know that you've just said that to me. I knew he was instigating. I knew right from the start he was instigating. I said, do you know what you've just done there? He said, what? I said, you've just tried to instigate. He said, what? I said, you've just tried to instigate. I said, you've tried to call my bluff. And he went, No. I said, you did. I said, I was just having a bit of fun. I said, I'm here for a job interview, for a job that I believe is the best job for me. I said, you picked on the wrong person. And he just looked at me and he went, what do I do now? I just shrugged and went, that's a good question. And I went in and he was obviously like, oh, what do I do? What do I do? I got the job. Right? He didn't, obviously. The question is, did I say anything to them? Well, that's for another story. Right? I got the job on my own merits, let me put it that way. But instigating like that, you kind of think, what? Right? People will try and psych you out. I mean, I've worked for lots of different types of jobs, right? Instigating is, a technique that often people don't even know they're doing it. Like, I sat in a room and there was a group of us and the phone rang. I picked up the phone and it said, you've got the job. This is honestly true. I picked up the phone. Nobody else would pick up the phone. I picked up the phone and I said, I introduced, this is the phone of this organisation. And they said, you've got the job. And I was like, no, no, thank you. And I passed the phone over to someone else and I said, you've got the job. And I handed them the phone and said, you can have the job. Because I didn't want the job under those terms. Sometimes you have to stop and think, hold on a minute, what's going on here, right? Instigating sometimes can be a way where people provoke a reaction just to see where your terms are. Where do you stand? And you have to decide, is this for me or not? Right? And an interview for me in that situation is two ways. I want to know whether I want this job. I don't want somebody to tell me you've got the job. I want somebody to sit down with me for me to decide, do I really want this job? To understand what's on offer, which is why I said no, thank you. I think a lot of the times instigating is a different way of looking at things. And if you look at an instigator, you have to understand what you are dealing with. Often we give so much power away to someone, right, when they have negative behaviours as an instigator. If you're a strong, powerful person that can instigate with empathic compassion and you have this charismatic personality and you can be strong and elevate people, you can be an amazing person to be around as an instigator, right? But if you're an instigator and you are gaslighting people and you instigate and provoke, conversations around putting people down because there's jealousy or insecurities, sometimes we have to stop and reflect on that behaviour and ask ourselves, why do I feel the need to do this? Why do I have the need to do this? Why would I need to put other people down and make other people feel less than? And why do I do it in front of an audience if I'm doing it, in front of friends? When friends are supposed to support each other, have each other's back and elevate each other. And we're supposed to celebrate each other's successes because our success and our time will come. Not be jealous and insecure and resentful that other people's success is there before ours. Yeah? And often when I talk to friendship groups, I often talk about when you're the one that's got married and maybe you're having children, are you still there supporting your friends that are single because they were there for you when you were trying to find a partner? Because often what people do is they get married, they have children, and then they don't stay around supporting their single friends who are still looking to go out and find someone. I mean, it used to be, I remember listening to my granny and listening to my aunties and my mum, right, listening to my mammy, right, talking about how friends very much, and cousins and friends would always have each other's back and they would still go out and be around and support each other and introduce people, to their friends and to each other when they were single, because they never wanted, it was like no woman would be left behind was their philosophy, unless they wanted to be, obviously. You know, there's nothing wrong with being single. Trust me, I know. But it's also about understanding that what friendship's about is supporting each other and not, well, I'm okay now, so I'm off. It's about having each other's back and supporting each other through life. Not gaslighting each other, not instigating negative environments and hostility. Sometimes you talk to friendships and groups of friendships where they have such a lot of love and support for each other, and it's amazing to have those kind of friendship groups. But sometimes you have friendship groups that they break up and they never really maintain that kind of friendship. If you look at an instigator and you look at where they are and what kind of environments they're in, whether it's an organisation, whether it's individual, it's often about vying for power, attention, notoriety. And often our society actually pays attention to that. Our society looks for knowledge and looks for intruding into privacy and looks for information all the time. And sometimes we actually will justify doing that. And we'll often think it's okay to pass comment without filtering. And we'll make judgment without thinking. And maybe if we were a bit kinder, more caring, more thoughtful, more compassionate, more understanding, and maybe if we actually hit the pause button and thought, how would that feel for me if somebody said that to me? Maybe we wouldn't say it. Maybe we would actually think twice. A very wise woman used to say to me, if you can't say something kind, say nothing at all. Maybe many of us could learn from that, particularly if you're an instigator of the negative kind. Just a thought. Until next time, let's catch up. Thanks for listening. Remember to like, down and share and download every episode so that it can be recorded as being listened to. And remember that there will be more episodes coming along. Thanks again. This is Step Up CMG. And if you want to contact me, you can contact me on that email. And remember, you can also reach me if you want to. Feel free to do so. If you want to, you can also message me on my Life Curator Facebook group as well. Thanks for listening. Take good care. Bye for now.